Hello, besties. I know I am releasing 2 episodes in one day. Yeah, it's a day. And I have one of my besties, Georgio Talkanakis, joining me as usual. Thank you, Georgio, for coming on to talk some shit with me.
There's a lot of shit to talk. I was just talking shit before I came on. Well, not really,
You
but I
were
was giving my opinion on something.
you had me quite enthralled with a lot of the things you were saying. I just want you to know that. So let's just start with this. I'm going to say pretty much the same thing I was just saying to Giorgio, which is I kind of want to be just transparent here. I want to be careful about how I talk about this because, um, I don't feel like we tend to go into other, I'm going to say content creator drama, or other podcaster drama. If y'all are not a chump or a juicy scooper, you may not know what all is going on, or you may have just heard a little bit. Now, if you're here because you love Bravo too, you know who Jeff Lewis is. We all know who Jeff Lewis is, okay? He has his radio show that's on SiriusXM that's part of Andy Radio. And Heather McDonald has her podcast that's Juicy Scoop. And Jeff also has has a podcast as well that's Jeff Lewis Has Issues, like all sorts of shows, right? So there has been, it seems like Heather McDonald tends to be experiencing a lot of friendship drama. Would you say that that's an accurate statement?
Yes, and I also want to preface by saying that Heather has been nothing but kind to me
Mm-hmm.
as a podcaster, and she's always supported stuff. She likes my stuff when I post something that she likes. She comments, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that my opinions are going to be neutral, not because I'm biased, but because I think this situation is a little bit unique in that there's a 30 there's 3 decades of life between the two of them
Exactly.
that they've shared in one way or another. And I think it's not as simple as like, oh, they're just being catty, like, oh,
No.
Jeff's just being Jeff and Heather's just being Heather. And yes, there is some of that per se, but I do think that I like both of these individuals.
Agreed.
I respect both of them for a lot of the same reasons. They kind
Mm-hmm.
of set themselves up where, like, I'm going to speak for myself. Heather was one of the first to be pioneering and getting on a podcast and dishing on stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was listening and watching her way before I started mine in my journey doing what I'm doing. And so on the Jeff side of it, I respect him because I've seen his personal growth and watching him share the good, the bad, the ugly on his personal platform, which, by the way, is they both have huge audiences. This isn't like we're not talking about small, scrappy things here. They're like, this is really public in a big way in terms of what their audiences look like. And sorry, I'm ranting. I want to
Well,
preface it because I want to be gentle around. I don't want people to cut anything up that we say and make it seem like, oh, well, it's pointing in one direction or we're citing or we're saying
no.
this, that, and the other.
Here's the thing. I feel all the same ways. I don't know them personally, and it's not as though Jeff obviously was on Bravo. He had his show on Bravo, but it's not like with these Bravo lebs that we're talking about when we're talking about like the Orange County Housewives, which we're going to discuss. But we haven't seen this interaction with Heather and these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't. I don't have any issue with Heather. I mean, it's all just kind of bizarre. The only thing is, I think the way she's been handling it probably isn't the best way to handle it. That's just me. I'm not even look, and I also let me preface, no one here is afraid of
A lot of prefaces
anyone.
in this episode.
Yeah, I guess because it's like we will be very opinionated about certain things. And this one, I feel like it's a little bit different because we haven't been ingratiated into their lives the way we have with a lot of our more specifically Heather, we haven't, the way we have a lot of our reality stars. We go off of her version of everything on her podcast. And I listen to her podcast and I enjoy Jeff Lewis's podcast and radio show. So it's like, it's all just kind of odd. I don't know how else to say it. So basically I'm going to try and break this down as best I can. Because I wouldn't consider myself a chump or a juicy scooper. Okay. And just so you know, I call y'all besties. Jeff Lewis, his show, they call the listeners chumps, just FYI, in case you were. Juicy scooper is pretty self-explanatory. So, okay. Long story short, Heather and Jeff have been friends for, as you had previously mentioned, about 30 years. And that's a very long time. That's just about as long as I've been alive.
That's longer than marriages are, like, in terms of like length of time.
Exactly. And so there had been an issue earlier this year with a woman named Megan Weaver that was also friends with Heather. And I guess Heather and Megan got into some sort of argument at a party when everyone had been drinking. This wasn't on any camera. This was not on any show. And the problem is that Heather ended up doing a Patreon episode discussing this argument, which I'm sorry, that's strange. Not sure why that happened. Because the way I try and look at it is, if I had a friend that I got into it with outside of whatever, I'm not going to go sit here and, put it on blast if it was a friend, right? Now, I guess Jeff then tried to bring her on his show so that she could air her side of it, and Megan could, and all of this. Okay. Again, this is just what my understanding is of this that happened earlier this year. She had a comedian named, she as in Heather, Justin Martindale. He didn't really say that he would consider himself a quote unquote regular, but he did do 33 episodes of Juicy Scoop. And basically he would just come whenever she asked him to come do her show. And that's just kind of the way it works anyway. It's, again, I've said this before, that, we don't pay guests usually. That's just, we wish we could. We all wish we could, but that's just not how it always works. So there had been a series of events that happened in their friendship, I'll say, and a series of things from Justin's account that were very hurtful to him. It sounds like a lot of things, maybe some miscommunications. Because I am not subscribing to Heather's Patreon, what have you. So I guess like my only other thing is, everyone else is willing to talk about it. Maybe don't hide behind the paywall. That's where I'm saying I don't think some of these series of decisions are the best. If you feel safer doing that, do what you want to do. Okay. But I also know that and this is my one thing with Heather, is that she seems to be good friends with someone that I consider the absolute scum of the earth. And that while I have not met this man personally, I pray to God I never do. I have personal people in my life who have encountered him on a very personal level, if you catch my drift. I am from Oklahoma, and I have a friend I went to high school with, and we would see each other in LA. We would hang out in LA, who was his partner. And I'm just not even going to say the names. But aside from, we'll just say Girls Gone Wild is about all I need to say. And that person is a despicable human being. I really hope that Heather is not still friends with him. I'm not a fan of Kelly Dodd either, because she's very anti-trans, in my opinion. So I'm just kind of putting this out there. There aren't the best choices being made. Now, that also being said, I've not seen Heather be rude to anyone. I've not seen her be unkind. I like listening to her podcast. So it's a very weird, it's a weird space to be in. Okay. And so I guess now that Justin has his podcast, he was letting everyone know, hey, this is why we're no longer friends. This is what happened, because she went to speak on it again, behind her paywall. And I think ever since the Robin and Giselle of it all, I have a very big issue with people putting certain things behind the paywall, but I also get that's part of the reason why you have it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, to give people exclusive content, I get that.
But what's exclusive about that? If I think, and I agree with you here. I lightly touch. I did a rant on my podcast today because I knew I was covering OC with you. So I used my time wisely to get some things off my chest. I did touch on this slightly. My only call out here was to your point. Why the paywall? And it's not just this last time. The time that you mentioned where she first did it, coincidentally, looking back though, I kind of understand why she dropped it the night before, like that Sunday night, I believe it was that she did that. Was I think because she wanted to beat Jeff to, because she knew he was going to more than likely talk about it. So I think she thought, let me get my side of it out there and perhaps it won't be as much of a thing. But the problem with it is, like, Jeff did it on a platform that, yes, you do have to pay for SiriusXM, but it does replay the videos on YouTube a day or two later. So you do get to see it at some point. With her, you're not going to see it or hear it unless you pay that damn subscription fee, which fine, make your money. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I do.
I'm not telling again, but I think it would be so much better if she would use her free platform, that she has a massive audience, that she can say, I would listen to her side of the story. Of course I would. I'm listening to everyone else's side of it, but now I got to pay to go listen to yours. That's where I find it really like, why? Why? What's the reason? As Cardi B would say, what's the reason?
What is the reason? Yes. And, you know, Jeff mentioned on his show, I did listen to it, when he said, look, you know, the problem is because there's another thing that happened with them. Julie and Brandy, who worked with Jeff and who are no longer employed by Sirius, went to Heather's podcast. And I don't know if it's like regularly or not for sure. I mean, as much as it could be, I guess. And so there was an issue there between them, you know, with all of that. And I guess when the two of them, or maybe he was talking about the Megan drama, that, you know, she had an uptick in Patreon subscriptions, but then everyone unsubscribed as soon as they were done with the drama. So, you know, that's the thing, is like, that's fine. I mean, get your coin, do what you got to do. That being said, again, this is just kind of one of those things, like, why don't you save like the juicy celeb gossip ones like that? You feel like, oh, I want to say a little more than I normally can say.
Yeah.
Don't save this, you know?
She has tea that she doesn't.
I believe that.
You know, I believe for sure. Like, when she just had, well, speaking of the devil, Up and Adam, when he was on her show, she was alluding to having extra tea. That would have been something that people would absolutely pay for.
That would make it worth it.
But I don't want to pay to hear your side of the story when you quote unquote share your person. You know what I'm saying? Don't just share the good times for free and then the drama. Now I got to pay. Like, then go get on a show. I love you, Heather.
I think she would love to be on a show, and I'm sure she'd do quite well.
She absolutely would.
And I think that's also part of what maybe she's aiming for. And this is where I'm going to get you on this one.
Uh-oh.
All of this caused me to think that maybe Bethany Frankel was speaking not on a bunch of us podcasters calling us jealous and stupid. I thought when she first said this that she might have been trying to, for whatever reason, refer to Heather McDonald. Because she said this, I remember Bethany saying, you all were asking her about Rachel. You wanted her on your podcast. You wanted her to come on and give you the interview. And I could not for the life of me think of anyone in this sphere that was genuinely reaching out or would reach out. Like, I know you and I are not trying to reach out to Rachel's team, but it's like the Vanderpump Rules cast, I highly doubt they were dying to have her on their podcast. They had enough content on their own. Would Lala have taken her on her podcast? Absolutely. But something about it, and all of this happening at the same time, my brain just went, I think she's talking about Heather McDonald for some reason. Because it would make sense for Rachel to go on her podcast. It wouldn't be an insane idea to me at all. It wouldn't.
No, not at all.
But I just kind of found that interesting. And I got the same feeling about her saying that I did the day Sheena posted the photos from Watch What Happens Live, and she had cropped Rachel out of all of them. I should have said something then. I was like yay close to being like, why did Sheena crop? I almost was going to make fun of Sheena, being like, damn, Sheena, you did you not like any of the photos that were of the two of you? But I didn't end up posting because I was like, oh, that probably is too much. Well, I got the same feeling with this. I just have a feeling that might be who. I have no other reason than my own intuition. So I don't even need to put an allegedly, because it's just, that's my opinion. So, I mean, yeah, it was a whole thing where Jeff went off on Heather, and now there was a whole thing in one of the fan groups for Heather's Juicy Scoopers that essentially was that someone brought up the topic like, oh, if someone were to replace Andy on Watch What Happens Live, who do you think? You've seen these Facebook groups. They don't only talk about the show that it's about, or, the person that the group is quote unquote dedicated to. And I guess like people were throwing out different names. Again, this was just a fan group of hers. And she basically went off in the comments, very upset that they didn't suggest her. Yes. Let's just, to put it, because I didn't write this down word for word, but actually I probably, if you give me 1 second, I think it's actually, there was a post here tonight where someone said, this is what Heather wrote, they would like to see Andy Cohen replaced, and who should replace him? Do people know who I am? Do you know what I've been doing for my career for the last 25 years? Do you know how freaking hard I work on my podcast, Juicy Scoop, twice a week, live shows, and my stand-up comedy, only to read so many of you suggest everyone other than me? It is so hurtful. I do want to thank those of you who had the sense and decency to say to me, I saw it and was nice, but to the rest of you, what do you think I am doing every day of my life? This is the kind of stuff that makes it so hard to get up in the morning and keep going. Yes, I am human. Yes, I was hurt. I am not ashamed to admit that. Thank you in advance for understanding. Maybe it was a bad day. I don't know.
Was she joking?
I don't know.
Because that's what I don't. You know how sometimes she's very sarcastic and she's good at being like, I'm like that too. I can really get someone going and then be like, psych, I'm just kidding. Like it.
Sure.
Because I can't possibly think that is what keeps her from wanting to continue on, is the fact that people didn't jump to say, oh, Heather should replace Andy. Not to say that she doesn't really maybe want to do that. I don't want to speak for everybody. I mean, I don't want to be Andy per se, but I aspire to do what he's done and achieved. Yes. He created a entire thing, but like, I don't know. I thought she wanted to be a housewife, not lead the pack of housewives. Cause that to me, Andy
she'd be good with either.
She would be good with either. Mm-hmm. I just feel like she would give more as a housewife because she's got so much naturally to give, and she has a lineage and history with so many people. So just stop doing the paywall, unless it's like real like tea, like stuff that I like would want to listen to.
I guess, yeah. I mean, make it worth it. So, listen, this is why I'm saying she's not making the best choices. Of all places to go to dinner to last night, she went to Craig's. Now, she even talks about this. Georgio, she talks about this, how you only go to Craig's if you want the paparazzi to catch you. Y'all, I would drive by there coming home from work all the time. And the number of housewives you'd see out there pretending, and I swear to God, if you think it's that it doesn't look like this.
No, it does.
It does.
It's different in real life than what you see it on TMZ.
I remember one time seeing Joanna, I'm going to butcher her last name,
Joanna Krupa.
She was walking back to one and walking to the front of the restaurant while one singular photographer is taking her pictures. And y'all, did I see it the next day? Yeah. And she was absolutely, okay, back to one, another go. Okay. So y'all, it was not, again, I don't know why she did it. And a paparazzo asked her, what's going on with you and Jeff Lewis? And she goes, I'm sorry, who? Which honestly, that was probably the best answer she could have given. If you want to know the truth, I will give her that. But why were you standing out there, Heather?
You guys, come on. She loves this. She loves it. Come on. She went to Craig's. She knew she went to Craig's that they would like, come on. They're asking her about some drama that involves her.
Yes, but she's really saying that she's feeling bullied, like bad. Okay. Like something she sent to her Patreon subscribers was a woman. This was something that she did send. This is from her that my friend sent me. A video, a YouTube video of this woman. And I'm almost wondering if Heather just like skipped to the parts that were relevant because the beginning was very bizarre of this video. I literally said to my friend, I was like, there's no way she watched this part. There's no way because she would not send this to people if she watched it. I don't believe she watched it because it's like a 45-minute video, okay, of this random woman I'd never heard of. She was an influencer. And Heather wrote, this influencer's story is what is currently happening to me. These people go after my friends, podcast guests, family, and sponsors. I'll never know the exact reason why, but it's happening. The goal is to mentally break me, ruin my relationships and reputation until I quit the business or worse, leave this earth permanently. I'm going to be reaching out to see if she's available to share her story. And this woman, her name was, it was like Amber. She goes by like Amber Media or something. In the beginning of the video, Georgio, it's bizarre. She's talking about how this was also confusing because I thought she said dad, but she said my dog. Now it's a tongue twister. My dog Dagwood's accident. Her friends started a GoFundMe for this influencer's dog's accident where I guess he was hit by a car.
Okay.
And I guess this also, I didn't get why this was like the biggest deal unless she had said, oh, I don't know if maybe she had claimed it was some sort of crazy hit and run. I don't know. But then she ended up saying that she had to come out and tell the truth that it was her ex-husband driving the car that hit her dog. It doesn't sound like it was intentional.
No.
No, from what I picked up on
I don't know.
No, I was not going to sit and watch the 45-minute video. I'm so sorry. But she was talking about how she found uncovered 200 bots. And there's these allegations that, Jeff was saying that he thinks she has bots. And again, this is alleged. These are not my allegations. I'm basically right now, y'all, I'm just repeating what I heard, trying to give you the Cliff's Notes version. Okay. Because it took a lot of listening to this, watching that, Googling this and that. So I'm kind of just trying to condense it for everyone. But yeah. And I guess like this woman, she had some subreddits that were basically dedicated to hating on her. And like I said, I don't, and like the first half of the video is this woman talking about how she was offering refunds to people who sent money for the GoFundMe for her dog. And that's why I'm like, I don't believe Heather watched the first part of this video. Because there, you know how on YouTube, obviously you can go to like relevant parts of it. She had to have, because I can't imagine her sitting there for 45 minutes watching this whole video anyway. If I can't do it, then surely she can't. No offense to anyone, but it's like if time is a thing. So I don't know, y'all. It's all a lot because the other thing was that Justin, who had, again, wasn't necessarily considered a regular. Like I would consider you, Georgio, a regular on my podcast. Would I give a shit if one of my friends who has a podcast, say if Jesse were like, hey, I'm going to have Georgio on my podcast, I'd be like, fuck yeah, do it. Have so much fun. Love it. Tell me when it's on and I'm going to listen. But I guess
that's not what she told me.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, drama. I was like, wait, who told you? What'd she tell you? But I mean, so I guess Jeff also did preface that Heather, yes, did call him and say, hey, can you not have Justin on your podcast or your show? Because, I'm wanting, because he's more of a regular on my show. And he even said that he didn't view it as a malicious thing that she was doing. And I still, whatever, I wasn't there for the phone conversation. Their shows are completely and totally different, though, if you ask me.
They are.
So Absolutely. You can have the same guest the same week, and I think you would get a completely different show. That is purely the way I feel about that.
But I'm confused with this because, like, I understand to some level wanting to keep your platform unique because we all are regurgitating a lot of the same information. What makes it different? How, a lot of it's us, right? People want to listen to Heather just as much as they want to listen to Jeff. I listen to as many of my fellow content creators as possible because that's what we should be doing as content creators. We should support each other. But outside of that, we all have different perspectives on the same situations. And sometimes it's nice because sometimes listening to a few other people's perspective changes my perspective a little bit.
Totally.
So all I'm saying with that is that Heather should lean more into her audience and not just placate them to the good stuff and the funny stuff. This is something that's really happening in your life. You absolutely should talk about it, but do it in a way that makes your audience feel like they're there for all parts of it. Because putting it behind a paywall isolates a lot of people. Not everybody can afford to spend the extra. I don't know how much her thing is, but like, I guess whatever it is,
I think.
But I'm assuming this is the top tier subscription in order to listen to, or is it the bottom tier? See, that would be my next question. I guess I could look, but
I can even look on what the Apple podcast, if you want to like subscribe. I'm pretty sure it's like $14.99 a month, which I'm sorry, that's pretty steep in my opinion. Let me make sure it's not going to start playing. Oh no, see, okay, way off. So you can, it's $4.99 a month or $49.99 for the year. I still, what it's going to take for me to subscribe to one singular person, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I subscribe to Sirius, I'm also getting Andy Cohen's radio show. It's not, and I could discover other content creators. Yes. Now, hey, I'm not trying. I also don't want to say don't devalue yourself because I don't know how things are going to go. And listen, if there's a day that someone actually wants to pay $4.99 a month for my stuff, I don't know that I think I would probably try and find another way. I don't know. I would have to feel that I was offering some very exclusive, specific content. I don't know how else to say that. But listen, know your worth. Okay. That's fine. I don't want to criticize a podcaster for making money because it is not easy to make money doing this at all.
Well, no, it's not. But I think it's like, let's be honest about what we're doing here. I think that's the theme of most things right now. Let's be authentic about it. I think people would respect this more. I don't know. I think people are not given enough credit. I think, and I'm speaking about the audience in general, the viewers.
Totally
I think they're not given the room to like as if they don't think or they can't put two and two together, or they're just dumb sitting on a couch throwing like food in their mouth. They're like, if you just came out, like, good example of this is Heather Dubrow. If you just came out and said, yes, I did stage those photos because I was sick of hearing that my marriage was on the fucking rocks. Okay, Emily, is that it?
I can't wait to get into that too.
I wanted to clock in. I wanted to clock in, and I was like, man, I know that Emily's being an ass, but I get it. I fucking get it, and I love it. I love it way too much. And maybe it's because I want someone to call out the phony baloney BS. That's what's happening in general. I feel like I think that planetary wise, that's bringing that out. I think people that have been pushing things into the dark or trying to conceal strategy, business moves, relationships, whatever have you, it's all slowly starting to trickle out into the shoreline.
Totally agree. That reminds me, I need to reach out to my friend Alyssa, Stars by Alyssa, and just ask her. Homegirl knows. Okay. So there's more, I'm sure, that will be coming out because Justin is going to end up going on Jeff's show, I think, at the end of the month. So, okay. So this, according to Dumois' podcast, I'm going to put the allegedly, Carl Radke, was already seeing someone during the summer before breaking it off with Lindsay, and there was an alleged pregnancy scare with this affair partner. Now, I'm gonna
Are you trying to piss me off? Because I did
yeah.
not hear this yet, so I am triggered. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just repeat what she said because I am in full agreement with this thought process. For whatever reason, pregnancy is always tends to be thrown in this stuff. I don't know why. And I'm not just trying to copy what Du was saying. I genuinely agree and thought the same thing because whenever the whole thing where it was the bullshit rumor saying Rachel was pregnant, that really irked me when that went around. So I'm also wanting to treat this in a slightly similar fashion. But we don't know who this person is. It's not a public face that, is being harassed and torn down for poor choices. We're not going
Mm-hmm.
back into Scandal. Fucking can't do it.
Nope.
Sorry, I stirred my brain.
Nope.
So we don't know for certain that that's true. But I have seen some blinds passed around. I'm sure maybe you've seen them too, because it was also one of those things where I was like, man, I don't know if that's true. That's such a reach. Where some girl ran into a girl at a lover boy party or something like that, and she was crying in the bathroom saying that she was seeing Carl or her friend was seeing Carl, something like that, and that she was having a pregnancy scare. Again, alleged. I
I
just
don't. Is this just a little? Hold on.
mhm.
Look,
It's about to get worse too.
I know. Oh, great. I thought we were already at the worst part, Caitlin.
No. Well, I don't know because the reason why this is going to get worse, in my opinion, is this affects people's wallets. Okay. And I can't remember now if this was already said or not on here, so bear with me. But it just so happened that the cancellation of the wedding came 2 days after it was too late to cancel the room bookings for everyone. So every single one of the guests is out their money. This has been, now again, this will have to be an alleged, but this has been said by multiple sources. And then on top of that, the allegedly allegation, is that Carl had a paid promotion deal with the resort, and that's why he waited. Yes. Now again, alleged.
Stop.
So y'all, if this is true,
You guys.
if this is true, he's right up there with Sandoval, y'all. He is right up there. Yup. Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what I'm gonna say. If you have someone that you've been with, and maybe you guys don't get along all the time, maybe they get on your nerves, but if they're there for you, hold on to them or rethink whatever you're rethinking right now, because this is now the norm. You can go all the way almost to the altar, and then someone could be like, whoopsie doopsie doopsie doops. And then it's just like, whether it's on TV or not, I'm just saying, I've been talking to many of people that are single, and I fear for them. I fear for what they have to go through. No, it's just some of the stories are just wild, and they're normal now. They're just more and more. You just hear more and more of these like weird,
Common, yeah.
but it's like normal, and like people are not seeing the problem on one side. It's just weird. So all I'm gonna say is, with this whole situation, although it's alleged, if it smells like shit, it's probably shit.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I don't even know if I want to say the other alleged. See, this is when
There's more.
this is when a Patreon would be, maybe a subscription part would be.
Is this in the same story?
Uh-huh. Hold on. There is someone doing some very extensive yard work outside the window. Can you hear it, Georgio? If you can't, I'm going to continue.
I can't.
Fantastic. Listen, my new mic, newish mic has been kind to me. Oh, it's tough. Okay. Now, I want to be very sensitive with this, okay?
You are scaring me.
Well, it's it's not to be scared of, but it also is concerning. There might Now Carl is holding up in his alcohol sobriety, but there are a lot of questions, and from what I'm understanding, it might come out that one of the fights and issues Lindsay had over the summer was maybe there were some other things that were not being abstained from. Um, and I don't want to fuck with anyone's sobriety. I don't want to fuck with that. Just bear with me. That is being said by a lot of sources as well.
I
Um,
think I did. I think actually I did hear
okay.
some rumblings around that. So you're not, I mean, although it's alleged, but I did hear that.
Yeah, I just basically it's that I know that's something that's very sensitive. So I just
Totally.
really don't want to like go too far with that. So, God, what's interesting is neither Lindsay or Carl have put out any statements. Watch, they're going to put out one right as I'm recording this. That is the type of shit that always happens to me. Have you noticed that?
But you know what? I also wonder how much of this is being played up for the season. Because I'm not saying that things don't happen and these types of things definitely don't happen. They surely do. Um, it just seems like conveniently it's all played out in front of the camera. And even now we're getting these new alleged details and parts of the story. And it just feels like we're trying to get everyone riled up for season, a season of great ratings, which, hey, go for it. Absolutely. I get it. This is part of marketing.
Right.
I'm sure this really happened to them, but I'm just questioning the level of this other
Shit.
girl. It's just heavy. It's
Well, do
heavy
you
now. It's
I don't know if you remember this, but this was much earlier this year when Summer House was still airing that Dumois received a blind is talking about, well, Scandival may have been, and the words, are not exact, have been a big booster for this West Coast show. But the parallel show on the other coast is about to be rocked by similar vibes. And I remember that on Watch What Happens Live, Andy had asked, I believe it was Maya and Gabby that were on. And I remember the subject or like the person that, like, how they can change whatever email that they want. It said something like Cookie Monster. And so everyone at first thought it was Kyle Cook. And then Maya and Gabby said that they thought that it was actually about Maya because remember her boyfriend Oliver cheated on her. And she does the
oh yeah.
cookies.
Mm-hmm.
But now someone had pointed out maybe it wasn't about either one of them. It could have been about Carl. See? It could have been happening.
When does the season air? I just want to mark it in my calendar now so I can
don't even think
mentally,
it's an air date.
spiritually. I don't care. I'm gonna email give me a guesstimate. What month are you thinking?
Probably
So I can
January or
block
February.
the next 4 months out from that point because I know this is gonna be a shit show.
Yeah, I think it's January or February. That's my guess because they usually air it when it's like cold as shit where I live. I'm like, damn it, I wish it were summer. So there's all of that. And then looks like Mauricio Umansky is going to be on Dancing with the Stars. Georgio's still like, I cannot move on.
I'm like, sorry guys. I just mazel to Mauricio and mazel to all of us for being so hyper focused in on every little detail that we spotted that they spotted the bracelets. Like, leave it to us. We will figure it out. But yeah, that's interesting.
um, And then Alexis Bellino and her fiance broke up. That being said, she posted like I knew something had happened because she was posting like one of, some of those like quotes that it was like when people
Why
show
do
you,
they do that?
but the problem was the quote was over a picture of a laughing Army Hammer. People were like, not Army Hammer. She deleted it. Because
Who?
yes, I sent it. I sent it to my friend Lauren Skay, the Zen blonde, who like basically inspired the entire Army Hammer special on HBO. Her TikTok videos did, and I was like, not Army Hammer, like no. I just Alexis, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Jugs.
Jesus Jugs needs to get a new social media manager.
Oh man. Okay, and the last bit of news is today they are filming the Orange County reunion.
That's
So,
right.
it's
That's
reunion
right.
day.
Spicy, spicy.
It's so hot. The hottest reunion you've ever seen. Go watch Orange County. That's me pretending to be Taylor Armstrong outside of, well, Craig's.
I hope that Taylor gets some sort of action at this reunion for all the hype she's giving it. Without even she didn't even film the reunion. She doesn't even know what she is doing yet, and she's like, "It's gonna be fucking hot. You wait." And it's like,
just wait.
Even on Watch What Happens Live, she made a comment about we'll air it out at the reunion. And I'm like,
she looked great, by the way. I like the shorter hair on her.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Really, really. What's the word I want to use? Not de-aged. Oh my god. Whatever.
No,
she looks younger.
It's very youthful on her.
Yes.
Like it really like it. I feel like it frames her face better and it fills her face out more because she's got a very long face. So with the long hair, sometimes she looks.
Totally.
I love it.
Kind of like when Teresa wore the bob at the reunion. I don't think she ever looked better than she did.
I think I agree with you. I think she should have that hairstyle always.
Get rid of the extensions, ladies. I've been there, done that. I'm not being a hypocrite. Let me tell you how good it feels.
Yeah, well, you know what? Did we talk about this last week? I don't care. I'm going to say it again. I am so sick. Who is doing Gina's hair?
Oh my god.
I am sick of seeing her extensions. She pays way too much money, I'm sure, for them to be showing on camera.
Well, and okay, while I'm at it, I need Tamara to have someone do a different type of extension on her. I like Tamara with both short and long hair, to be honest. And I will just, and this comes from, I had those same exact type of hair extensions, and I was certified in doing them as well when I was a hairstylist. It's those individual lock ones that, oh my god, it takes fucking forever to do. And you can see them, like when she was flipping her hair out of the motorcycle helmet, I was like, God, no, don't do it. Anyway, okay. Should we just, okay. I am just, Dr. Moon, I think we should just make him a friend of for Shannon. Oh my God. That Dr. Moon, he lets no one.
I need a session with him. I might need to fly out there and see him because I am fascinated by that. And I want someone like, I think that would be very good though. I would want somebody to tell me what's really causing the energy imbalance. Like if it, like, he was just being honest. I don't know.
He was calling her gravity stress, but it's also, that's aging.
She's like pulling her jawline back.
God bless her. But apparently Shannon and Dr. Moon are going into business together with the colonic Sit-A-Lonic. And if you watched the Never Before Seen, guess what? You got to see the prototype. And that does not look like something I want any part of. Just kidding.
No comment.
Got it.
I don't think anyone needs to, like, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
Is it going to be that big?
No, it was just going to be very long and skinny. And
Listen,
it's not going to break off like the one that David Bedore had to pull out of Shannon's ass. God. That's the only credit I will give David Bedore.
I know, but can we be done with these like intimate nether region digging tips of I don't care, and then they again show us where David's washing his hands like I still have some of it under my nails. What?
No.
What? Can I just be honest? If I lost a tip from my, let's be honest, she was douching her butt. If I lost a tip,
no.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be in there for a while, and I will do everything I can to either wait it out or I'm doing it myself. I will not ruin my relationship at the risk of someone going in and looking for something that I misplaced. Let's be honest. I misplaced it.
I mean, I just like, and I was about to say, like, how do you even broach that conversation? But we watched her do it.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it was like, this was not the one and only time she had to ask him to do something like that. Like, you know, that is the only time I will ever have any sympathy for David Bedore. He's a garbage man aside from that, but like, oh my God.
He could have just handed her a bar of soap, told her to shave a little bit off, put it up there, and she would have shit the tip right out. Bye. I'm not putting my fingers in there digging around for a plastic clear tip that I'm not gonna be able to see.
Like,
it's not a cave. How are you going in anyway? What did he do? Literally just go like.
That's the way she mined it.
There it is.
I mean, unless Shannon is just, we haven't seen that Shannon is a.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't need to see. I don't need to know. It happened. Great. I'm sorry.
No, we're done. We don't need
not content for the show.
No. So Jen's house, I guess we see her mom. She hasn't met Ryan, and she's going to be meeting Ryan. That is basically the gist of that conversation. So we get to Heather's party. I'm sorry. I just thought this was hysterical. When everyone's getting ready and Terry puts a red pocket square with a pink tie and Heather's gay downstairs yells, "You're so straight."
He was like, "That you're so hetero." And she goes, "What? Ha ha. You're fired. You're fired, you little shit."
No, I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. If you ever come for me or my family again.
If you ever come near me or my family
or their sexuality,
I will not do a fucking thing.
I can't even move my face in time with this. So okay. So Heather was explaining, I guess, what the HD network is going to be essentially like an HSN Peloton. Like,
I can't. You know why? Because I'm very aware of what the Fireside app is, and the way she's describing it is it's not this luxe.
HD, living their life in HD, just like me, Heather Dubrow. I'm so relatable. But also I live my life in high definition. Basically, she's not getting jobs in Hollywood.
This is going to get her more jobs. When you're working, you get more work. And what you don't get from these other little apps, ladies, is that the fake clapping and the laughing makes it feel like a studio audience is there. You don't have to edit that stuff in afterwards.
Heather, you don't think that we believe that you were going to allow people...
I'm not... I just want to preface, I'm not talking shit about Fireside app, by the way.
I don't even know.
I'm not. It's actually a great way... I'm considering throwing my content up there. It's quite nice, actually. But I just don't understand it from what she's making it sound like this is like a I mean, I guess you can. It just doesn't, I don't know. It reads to me like she thinks this is on an actual television network or
She does.
something like that. This is more like, it's kind of like TikTok-ish, but
Mm-hmm.
not. It's like
Mm-hmm.
longer and you can do whatever you want. But
Mm-hmm. Basically. Uh-huh. And so Shannon doesn't come, and she texted Heather like 20 minutes beforehand. Now, I'm gonna admit, if I were Heather and I were counting on someone to come, or I just didn't know either way, you don't text 20 minutes beforehand. Like if you're sick, just text earlier in the day. Okay, Shannon, like we love you. Just text earlier in the day. That's just, you know, whatever. But it's not like I don't know, maybe she was holding one place for her, but it doesn't really matter. She had to hold that place regardless. Um, because Shannon thought she was going to Texas, and then it turned out she wasn't feeling well. She said it wasn't COVID. She didn't know what it was. But I also wondered if, like, maybe there was a fight with John, and she just
it
didn't
was
want
a
to go.
it was a John Jansen illness. That's all. They had been
Yep.
fighting. They're dealing. I'm telling you, this is all blowing up in Shannon's face because John probably is laying into her about all the stuff that we're probably not seeing that they've edited out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Done.
I disagree.
Done.
Don't put this in the camera.
We're done.
Oh, shit. I don't have a mic pack on.
Oh, we're not filming. Oops.
Oh, God damn it.
Poor Shannon.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So I guess BravoCon was a week prior to this party, according to the timeline, right?
Yeah, I
Sounds
guess
true.
so. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Emily is upset because Heather told Emily that Shannon was talking shit on her during BravoCon, and we get a flashback to their panel and whatever. And Emily asked Heather what Shannon was saying, and Heather said, "Oh no, I can't tell you, it's in the vault." First of all, if that is exactly, now we find out later what it might have actually been, but that shit would piss me off. Okay. That would piss me off full on. Okay.
First of
Tell me.
all, the minute I don't listen, you guys. I am not fangirl. I don't fangirl a lot. Emily this season to me, she is. It's not literal, but she's making me horny. Like she is really.
She's amazing.
And she just has such a delivery about her that I just can't even put into words. And I'm not trying to lick her asshole. I really am not, because I don't know. It's like this season, she like snapped. She just was like, fuck it. You're fake. I'm sick of your fucking ranting about John Jansen. I'm sick of your, like, it's just perfection. And yes, she was acting like a complete utter asshole at that table. Let us be very crystal clear here, but it was so good. And let me just tell you, I have been that person when I'm pissed off and I'm not ready to just, you can't engage it yet, but you have to like get through it. The little digs here and there that she was throwing out loud, and the fact that Gina was telling her to stop, that we didn't get to see a ton of her antics, and I'm sad for that.
And y'all, I wrote down what she said. I did. When they bring out the ornate serving dishes, okay? And Emily goes, "Is there a bird in it? Are butterflies gonna come out of it? What? I thought it was like a bird cage." And Heather goes, "A bird? It's a cloche." I swear to God, Heather, you do no favors for yourself. Oh my God. Like,
she should have just laughed and been like any other rich person that looks down upon the peasants when they don't know what something is, and just be like, "Oh, you're so funny."
Oh, you know what we call that? We call that a cloche.
Oh,
get the fuck out of here. I don't need to know what the name of that is, but now
I don't care.
And then when the cut of Emily being like, "I know how to do this, but I don't like it," with the caviar. "Those eggs come right out of the fish's vagina. No, thank you. I have to pee." And then she's like, got the cucumber slice. "Is there dressing on this?"
The fact that she was tearing every little detail up as she was trying to eat it was absolutely the best antics that I could have ever asked for. I think this event would have been stale
Mm-hmm.
if Emily
Nothing
was
would have
not
happened.
nothing. You could tell nobody was going to try to like pull any shit at Heather's event.
Well, and so then Heather says to Tamara regarding Emily, "That's an interesting way to eat. Is she hammered?" Could you speak like a normal freaking person, Heather?
But
Stop it.
she doesn't talk like that in real life, and you know it. Like, I know it. Everyone knows it. And it just bothers me that she tries to come off like, is she wasted? Did she not eat something today? Like, did she not eat at our lunch earlier when we were coming? Like, it's just weird how she tries to act like it's very like, ooh, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, so rude and so crass. Well, and then Tamara's like, yep. We get the flashback where Emily had said, yeah, I've drank too much. I need to stop. I've had and then we see she was like, I've had 8 glasses of champagne and no food. I need to sober up. And then she's grabbing the guy's waiter's tie. She's like, that's a peacock. I like this. And then she was like, this better be monogrammed, Heather. I think you should put your initials on more things. I don't think there's enough. I'm surprised we didn't get branded when we got here. It's like, honestly, fair. I am surprised she did not have temp tattoos, face painter, anything. I mean, and Emily's just full on like, what? It's a joke. I mean, Heather is fucking pissed.
Oh, she's. You can see her boiling.
Yeah, because she says in confessional, for Emily to be sitting here and acting like an ass is so rude and so inappropriate. I will not allow her to take this away from me. Okay, Veruca.
Take what away from you? The HD network, that Fireside app let you create a account on?
I mean, and then she's such an asshole to Emily because Emily said she found sand in her salad, which, okay, I kind of know what she's talking about, actually. That was gold dust. Those were tiny HDs, Emily. God.
She knew what it was. She was being like that because she just wanted to rip on Heather and make her not feel so special.
Mm-hmm. And then when Heather says to Emily, I think the only important thing is, did you like it? And Gina tries to jump in and she's like, she loved it. And Emily says at the same time, I love sand, and is cracking up while Gina's like, went down really easy. Then I just want to note something, that Gina leans over to Emily and says, stop, you're being a dick. Is something bothering you? Do we hear Heather Dubrow use the word dick that often?
I noticed that was like, did you hear Gina say that or something? And then now you're like, oh, now I'm going to call her that.
Mm-hmm. Found that very interesting. And then also when we get to that point where Gina is cheersing Heather, kissing her ass. You really are a wonderful person. You deserve all of this and more. I really love you.
I love you too. You trashy person from Long Island. Get away from me.
Is poor contagious?
We're not filming right now. You don't need to talk to me.
Yeah. Ugh. Just go in the other room with the other help. And basically Heather, after, they go back to Terry's house. Well, it is. To her and Terry's home. And Heather wants to show us she's just like us. She sits on the counter and she drinks her 2012 Dom straight from the bottle. Oh. Ew. And then she says in confessional, poking holes in others' boats doesn't mean yours will float. Prove me wrong. Speaking on the other women who were taking all of that away, basically.
Can we hold on? This saying or whatever, when you poke hole. First of all, let's put this in perspective. If I was on a boat, I'm already floating. So why would I care to go close enough to your boat and poke holes in yours? Like, how does that make my boat go? I think she meant the other saying. There's another saying that I think fits that what she was trying to say. I don't know. Maybe that is a saying. I've never heard it until she said it.
I actually like your point. I do. I like it a lot. Because that's true. You are already floating. You're not worried about what other. Okay, whatever.
I could see you trying to drown someone in order to swim, or
stay afloat. Yeah, fair. That makes a little more sense. Then I guess everyone starts finding out that Terry and Heather sold their home for $55 million. And that game of telephone that they were showing them all play, something about it just reminded me of Bye Bye Birdie. Did you hear about Kim? Going steady, going steady. I grew up on the musicals, okay?
I feel like they used all of that. There was more. They weren't just talking about it. They must have had them do a bunch of different sequences of conversation there, because then they show us the same flashback of Jen talking to Taylor about something else.
We see through it, editors. We still love it though. But yeah, Tamara said that this is when Heather's acting skills come into play, and that Heather talks about Shannon not telling them everything about her relationship, which isn't true. Heather wasn't saying that. And then that Heather doesn't tell them anything because she doesn't tell them about the sale of the house. Well, Heather wasn't the one saying that Shannon didn't tell them enough. It was Emily and Gina. Oh my God. So Jen's mom meets Ryan. And what do you know? He dresses like a fucking douchebag again.
I literally the entire time was like, I hope this one, because of the situation, please, for the love of God, just wear a button down and some fucking jeans, regular jeans, not motorcycle jeans with the zip at the ankle. And you're just please. Nope. I'm going to wear a denim jacket that's half camo and on the back has white paint that says, keep the good vibes going.
Where are you?
I'm not a douchebag. I'm not a douchebag, Jen's mom. You don't have to worry about me. Look, I made some mistakes in my life. I'll answer whatever questions you have. Okay? I also might want to try to bang your mom. So there's that, which that's a whole other. Jen's mom was doing her a solid by doing this scene.
So, yeah. Didn't need it, but yeah. Okay. So, all right. The ladies go to Mexico, which our Orange County ladies thrive in Mexico. Okay.
They do.
They really do.
They come out and play like no other.
Also love that Shannon is dressed like an abuela. Or her version of a flamenco. I don't know what it was. And in the never before scene when the Mayan fire dancers come out and Tamara's got her phone up, something about this, I was LOLing literally. One of the fire dancers comes up to Tamara and he goes, "Hola," and she just goes, "Hello." He was like, "Hello? Okay, don't get too close to me." It's just like that.
They were really close.
Yeah, and that's a lot of extensions floating around there. And then thank God for Tammy Sue. Oh my God. Because no one was going to do it. They sure weren't. Tamara says to Heather, "I want to hear everything about your house that we've been reading about in the press." Bitches, come on. Here it is. And Heather tells them, they had 3 weeks to move out, telling them that they had just moved out Tuesday. And so, that whole thing. And here's what, again, Heather's kind of getting caught up in her lies here, in my opinion, where she keeps saying Sheena's saying she can't believe that Heather didn't say anything at the event. And Heather's like, "Well, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really sure how to discuss it. And I feel like in this group lately, if I say I'm excited about this, it's like I'm bragging. And I didn't feel like I could be honest and share it." And then she ends up saying that she thought she was going to be able to tell them on that trip and they could all celebrate together. Okay, so this is where Heather kind of gets caught in this lie of saying how she wanted to celebrate all together on this trip. But bullshit. You kept saying how these bitches wouldn't celebrate anything with you and that they're the Schadenfreude bitches. Like, no. And she does say to them too, like, oh, well, I didn't want this to get out into the press. And they're all like, well, you're saying that it would be because of us.
That's bullshit. Because let me just tell you, when she first found out that she was the third highest sale in Orange County history, you mean to tell me that Heather Dubrow didn't want that in the press, that everyone knew that?
Give me a break. You're so right.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. And then Shannon ends up saying, well, you know, I'm very happy for you, but other people are criticized for not sharing important things. And Heather's like, I share lots of important things. And okay, well, this is pretty important. Why are you so angry that I didn't tell you? And Shannon's like, you know, I'm not angry. And then Heather, this is where Heather should have just stopped. And she's like, I share lots of things, and I get told I'm staging paparazzi photos with my husband. First of all, that was Tamara that said that to you. Ooh. That's when Emily sits there, and she just kind of squints her eyes every time, you know, when she's about to go. Because she gets to that point where she's been keeping her mouth shut for too long, and she's like, she gets that look on her face where it's the...
Yeah, it's the like, I'm sick of this shit. You know what?
It's an eye squint with the nostrils flare and the mouth turned down. And that's when she's like, oh, no. And so Emily's just kind of like, why does the paparazzi thing bother you so much? And because I don't really care. And Heather's like, because I don't like that type of connotation directed toward me. And by the way, you've been so unkind to me for weeks. And oh, Heather, you should have just left it. Because then Emily, you saying that I've been unkind, I think that's a little unfair. Because I crack a joke every once in a while. You should be able to take that. And Heather, like we said, you were being a dick, Emily. Heather doesn't, as far as we've ever seen, I would be, I don't know, an asshole. You're from New York. You're from like East Coast. Calling someone an asshole doesn't have the same brevity, you know, as calling someone an asshole if you live in LA, I guess. But like, that's still like calling someone a dick. It's better than calling someone a bitch. But still, you know what I mean? Like, that's not Heather Dubrow.
Or is it?
That's also my question.
Because the thing is, it's not, I don't think she's as prim and proper as she tries to come off.
No.
I think this is part of her brand, and I think she wants to keep putting that out there and making things out to be what they are. But we've seen editors are trying to show us here and there. They're slipping things in.
For sure. And then this is when it just gets hysterical. I mean, it really does. Because then Emily's like, I'm sorry that you had HDs everywhere, so I made a comment about it. I'm sorry. It's the HD network. I get it.
Because it's like, yes, it's not hard to understand what it means.
It is ingrained, okay? All the girls are just staring at each other, and the server just says, "This is a good telenovela."
Oh boy.
I love it when like the male servers get in on it. You know, like the women, sometimes it's funny, but like, I don't know why that's so sexist of me to say, but it's like, I think maybe it's because I'm like, yeah, you fuckers enjoy this shit too. Stop it.
Well, that's what it is. It's because typically guys are not known for being like into that, but then secretly they are. We've come to learn that more specifically through the pandemic. I think people paid attention to their mates, hetero men specifically, that are like, trash TV. And then like have you seen the TikToks where they're like, are you watching that trash show? And then they like cut 30 minutes into it. And the guy's like, wait, why is he doing that? And it's just like, yeah, because you guys like this shit too. Stop lying.
Y'all love watching those MMA fights where those men are damn near kissing each other, getting in each other's faces, trying to get riled up. get as much testosterone going as they can before they try and beat the shit out of each other. I'm comparing it to that. I'll die on that hill. Fine.
It pretty much is for us.
And Emily's like, she apologizes. She's saying she had too much to drink and she didn't think she was being negative, but she says she was sorry. And you can tell when Emily is trying to be genuine, saying that she is sorry. She will soften her voice, and she's good about bringing it back down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and when Heather goes, and do you think that makes it okay? And Emily, and when I got up, do you think it was okay to say she needs to shut the fuck up and eat her food? And again, this is where it just keeps spiraling into hilarity. Well, you were tossing your caviar this way and that way. Where else are you going to hear some bullshit like that?
This is rich women problems. This is why we love it. No one fights over this shit in real life.
No, if this were, I'm going to say Oklahoma because that's where, I grew up. So I'm allowed to say it. They would be saying you were throwing your catfish and hush puppies everywhere.
Also, she didn't toss the caviar across the table. She gently handled it to Tamara, actually. Exactly. And I'm glad the editors put that in there because that was...
Too. It's funny because you can tell who must be the nicest to production. And it's definitely Emily. I see Emily as being one of those people. I know we are like totally up Emily's ass right now because
we are so up. We are in there.
I think it's because it was unexpected to love her this much for a lot of people. At least for me, I've always liked her, and
I think she's just gotten through a lot of crap on camera, and now she knows how to navigate it, and she gets what it is that she needs to do, and she does it. She's a lawyer, so she's good at this.
Yes. And then when Heather's like, you had a piece of cucumber hanging out of your mouth like a fruit roll-up, which I don't know what would offend Heather more, seeing a fruit roll-up like cheap ass candy food, or the cucumber that had been sliced so thinly hanging out of Emily's mouth
with no dressing on it.
No dressing. Because those are more calories.
You need to mix it.
Oh, wait, now I have to work too?
Like, bitch, I'm not mixing my own. Mix my dressing with my salad.
You're rich enough.
Or just pour. No, by salad, I mean just pour the dressing on my cucumber slice.
Yes.
That's all.
I'll take off what I don't want. And then when Emily says, why can you not differentiate between someone making a joke and someone not being nice? And that's when Tamara starts fucking losing it. She's got her nail.
She's like loving it. She's like, eat her ass up. Yes, it's not me. I don't have to do it.
I mean, I was like, yes, bitch, me too. I was like, yes. And then because like as soon as Tamara lost it, everyone else, and as Shannon's like, don't laugh, Shannon. Shannon, Tamara. It's not funny. And Shannon was like holding it all in too.
She laughed about it after the cameras went down.
She Guaranteed. Sure did. And then eventually Gina starts cracking up because Emily's telling Heather that the salad had sand in it, and now Taylor's cracking up. And Emily's like, if I can't crack jokes, then why is it okay for you to put cookies on a plate and say, look, Emily, it's your boobs? And it was like, Heather, was that really like, oh my God, that was your knee slapper for the day? Like, I don't even think a dad would make that type of dad joke. It was one of those cookies that while it's warm, you plop a Hershey's Kisses. Yes.
But listen, let me tell you something. This is wild. This conversation got wild. Like that when it got to the cookies, I was like, oh, okay. We have some stuff to unpack here. This is like, I'm so glad they to be continued it, because I was like, no. There's got to be more to this. This is like, now we're getting real in the weeds. Oh, yeah? Well, your Q-tip didn't have fuzz on one side that you told me I could use. So are you body shaming me because of my ear? Like, wow. Like, well, it just like... I was
like, Emily, that was a turn to take. Okay, this is where attorney Emily came out. And
that's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, attorney, yep. She was...
Listen, she was like, I am not going to let my trial law professor down here, okay? So why is it okay for you to body shame? Are you seriously talking about trying to body? I can't even keep it straight. Body shame when you were talking about my dolphin training suit. You did look like a whale trainer. I'm sorry.
But she did, and she knows she did, and she's skinny and gorgeous, and there's no dig there. She didn't say that she looked like a whale in a wetsuit. She said you look like a dolphin trainer, a whale trainer, which she did.
She did.
At SeaWorld, the one that's like there, that's like...
Everyone's in their lingerie bikinis. Now listen, if Heather had said, oh, because I didn't want to get any sun, I would have, that's another one of those things. I would have respected that. But no, she made it about, oh, I didn't want to get in that dirty sunless tanner water, which fine.
Well, I agree with her on that. I don't care.
I'm the dirty sunless tanner person, so.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm not going to partake in going down the third person after 3 people before me with self-tanner have now gone down the same slide with the same water. Like, that would be...
I don't know. At that point, I probably would have done it.
I mean, if I was drunk, whatever.
I have to admit this about myself. Because, and then, Shannon said it. Who's going to get upset when someone says you look like a thin whale trainer in a wetsuit? Shannon's like, why doesn't anybody tell me I look like that in my Spanx? You know she's thinking that. And then Heather has the audacity to actually say that this was embarrassing and inappropriate. And I was very hurt. Bitch, no, you weren't. And so then Emily's like, oh, yeah? Okay, I'm going to put more of the trial law in here, bitch. The day before I was hurt by you, when you say to me, oh, you know what? Oh my gosh, the way I took this note was terrible. At BravoCon, I was in Shannon Bedore's room, and she had a lot of crappy things to say about you guys. And then she said, I'm not going to tell you. And Heather says, that's bullshit. I never told you that. And Emily, yes, you did. Listen, I'm going to believe anything Emily says, pretty much. Like, if Emily's that emphatic, yeah, I believe her.
Oh, I believe her. I believe her.
Well, and Shannon's over there going, Heather was never in my room. And smart of Shannon to just back off, right? It wasn't, And so Heather's saying, I'm tired of being the fucking scapegoat for everything. So sorry, I never said that. And in confessional, Gina says, now this could be possible too. It could be that no one is wrong, okay? Or no one is right. Either way you want to put it. And Gina's like, I was in the room with Heather and Emily when Heather said Shannon was saying bad stuff about us, but I was actually pretty sure she said it was Tamara and not Shannon, but I was getting my hair blown out, so I don't really know. And Emily goes in.
Oh yeah, she's not letting up.
You said it, you're a fucking liar. Heather is like pulling some sort of like Margaret Josephs here. By the way, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think either. Great. I think you're a shitty friend. And that's when Emily's like, bitch, you don't even know. I will go there. I don't have a brand to protect here, okay? I think you're a shitty friend and don't think you listen to a fucking word I say. And then Heather says to her, that is bullshit. You are so fucking obnoxious to me and I'm over it. You know she has said that to those kids so many times.
Not that nicely, but yes.
Mm-hmm. And Emily, let me fucking finish. This is what you do. You literally wait for me to stop talking so you can talk about yourself. Oh, Heather. So which is it? I talk about myself too much or I don't share. I always call you. I always text you about your children. And listen, Emily hit it on the nose. She says in confessional that she does believe Heather checks the boxes and what it is to be a good friend. Check, ask about the family. Check, ask about Shane. Check, ask about the kids. Put the box at the end that says listen to the answer. She forgot about check that fucking box. And so then Heather says, I've been an incredibly nice friend to you, and I've loved you and cared about you, and all you do is want to look for some hole, and I am held to different standards. And this is when I was like, yes, go, Emily, go. You are not held to any standards. You get to be pretentious. You get to be a jerk. You get to be self-centered. You get to be egocentric. And we all just have to be like, that's Heather. That's just the way it is. just because you say something emphatically doesn't make it true. Just because you do this with your hands doesn't make it true either. And I was like, oh, Emily's so fucking activated. We better get at least 10 more minutes of this at the beginning of the next episode because we got such a good chunk this one.
We'll probably get 6.
I like that you split the difference.
I'm just being fair.
That is fair. That's totally fair. This was just like so good. And to have this episode follow the premiere of Salt Lake City, which was also like we have a fight about bathtubs.
You guys, it's so good. Which by the way, I have to tell you that I don't know if you saw it yet, but I'm having Jeff come on my podcast to recap Salt Lake City. And we haven't done one of these. So he watched it on his own and came with notes on each of the lady. Like he was really overly prepared. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh my God,
Caitlin would
Jeff.
love you on her podcast because she writes notes. I don't at all.
I'm crazy.
And he literally had it like sectioned by the housewife based on the timeline of the episode. So he could go like very organized, which is him, but I'm obviously not. So it was just funny because it was just like, oh
Love
God,
it.
he's got his notes and very like lasered in.
Otherwise, it ends up being a whole other thing, which,
Yes.
friends, I'm going to, at the time of recording, I do believe my Salt Lake City episode will come out first before this one. We'll see what happens. Because I am aiming to release 2 in one day. Here we go. Georgio, thank you for joining me. I have held you hostage an extra 30 minutes than I was supposed to. I turned it into a one-woman show to try and hurry it along, which we know I'm prone to do anyway. Friends, you know where to find Georgio at Georgio Says. That's on TikTok, on Instagram. Are we? I'm on X, not Twitter, whatever. Oh my fucking God, Threads, all of it. And check out his podcast as well. You can listen to it anywhere you get your podcasts. If you're listening to mine, you can listen to his. Okay, just
well, I'm not. Mine's more of the ranting because I don't do notes, so it's a different flavor over here.
I'm known to rant. I am. Whenever I just don't give me too much opportunity, and I will just go. Thank you, Georgio.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Leave a cute review, friends, and subscribe. Okay, bye.